Lindsay is a workforce brand architect and career communications expert. Guided by her 3Cs framework, commerce, community, and creativity, she helps leaders and organizations turn expertise into opportunity. With 20 years of experience, Lindsay has built partnerships with organizations which have included Crayola, American Express, JP Morgan Chase. She is the co-founder and president of FIA Now Employment Solutions and founder and CEO of Joy Fluent. Appointed by Josh Shapiro to the Pennsylvania Advisory Council for Inclusive Procurement, Lindsay advances equitable opportunities in public contracting. A board leader and speaker, she teaches professionals to communicate their worth with clarity. Please join me in welcoming Lindsay.
Hey. Hello, hello. Can you all hear me okay? Yeah? Can you hear me in the back? Woo! Thank you so much, Lisa, for that introduction. I'm really excited that so many of you are here today. That means that this message matters. Just a really quick tour into the why. I asked for the opportunity to speak to this. So having been in HR for over 20 years, I've never really had a titled leadership position where I had a lot of authority or decision making. Can anyone relate? So the reason why I asked for the opportunity to speak to this is I had to learn very quickly, one, being one of the only in the room, right? Having grown up on Wall Street, that's the street I grew up on, right? But also having been the one that had to really be responsible for the consequences of the decisions from the decision makers that were not said me. And I've realized I got to come up with a way to influence without authority so that my job can be easier. Because one thing I always say is, y'all ain't taking me out. I know that's right. Yeah, you're not gonna take me out. And I had to learn how to define when it was time to leave. So there are one of two people here. You either work for an organization where things are a little messy, a little haywire, you got some fires going on, but it's fixable. Or after this, you may realize the environment you're in may not allow for you to even introduce influence without authority, and you may have to go. Now it's easy for me to say I'm in staffing and recruiting. I don't work for anybody. I don't. But the thing that I learned the most, and then we'll get to this presentation, is because I don't work for anyone, but I still have to influence without authority, but I'm never the ultimate decision maker, I had to find out real fast how to communicate influence in a structured way that spoke to the bottom line of every decision maker I had a chance to work with. Are we ready? All right, let's do this. So, this is me with straight hair, this is me with curly hair. So have you ever walked into a meeting fully prepared and still walked out thinking, WTF? How did that go nowhere? How? We've all been there, right? Yeah, we may have been there even this morning or even this week. So what do? First, we need to define where we are, what we're responsible for, and then come up with a solution. I got you. Okay, don't leave. I don't want you to get bored, but at the end, I got a free download for you on a framework I'm introducing. 3-step framework, okay? So to me, HR sits at the intersection of people, policy, and pressure, and the decision is not always yours. You have all the responsibility, you got a whole lot to do, but you don't have the decision-making authority, right? Okay, we got you. So tell me if you can relate to any of these. HR, expected to protect the organization. So that's safeguarding the company from legal, ethical, and operational risk. We may or may not have had way more of those in the past few years, right? Enforcing policy, so upholding standards consistently and fairly across the organization, equitable for everyone. Supporting culture. Culture shifts a lot, but we're still responsible for supporting that culture. So championing values, belonging, and a healthy workplace environment. Who doesn't want that, right? And then maintaining relationships. So building trust with leaders, managers, and employees at every level. So I've got 4 different expectations. Who here has experience and or is responsible for at least 3 out of the 4? Show of hands. How about for 4 out of 4? Yeah, it's a good number. So what do we do with all this? We have to acknowledge that the responsibilities are fine. Can we agree That's not impossible. We're all superheroes here. It's HR. Hello. But can we agree that those responsibilities and expectations are not really the challenge, but it's this? Influencing decisions without formal authority. So we've got all those expectations without that formal authority. So what do? We define a little bit more, and then we get to the solution. So typical HR stuck moments. Ask to fix what you didn't create. Yeah, so I planned a pause for that one, just so you know. Did you like my pause stance? So you inherit problems that were built with steel, right? And are expected to solve them immediately. You're blamed for friction. So this isn't all the decision makers are bad. We're just painting the picture of what we experience, right? This is a safe space for us to talk real, right? So being blamed for friction. So enforcing policy, then blame for the discomfort that follows. That's policy. Agreement without action. So everyone agrees in the meeting, like I said in the beginning. You go to the meeting, everyone's, oh, that's great. And then nothing. Nothing moves after the meeting. It's just a good meeting. Or you're told not right now. Have y'all seen the passive progressive commercials? Yeah? I love them so much. I use that a lot as an analogy. Oh, that's great. Yeah, that would be great. Oh my gosh, it sounds amazing. You had an amazing idea today. And then nothing. Or, yeah, let's circle back. Let's run that up a freaking flagpole. Enough, right? We want action. We want results. And then the influence without authority. So expected to move people who don't report to you. How many of us have had experiences where we know we have to introduce or enforce, and the response is, I'll report to you. You're not my manager. You're not my dad. You're not my mom. So what do? Influence often comes down to translation. Now, this isn't to teach y'all something you don't know. I'm just really trying to simplify so you don't pull out your hair, okay? Turning what HR knows into language leaders can act on. So let's dive into what you're gonna leave with today. A clear one pain point. So the name of the method I came up with is the one pain point method. And let me explain to you why. After 20 years in staffing and recruiting, over 20, we won't talk about how long, at over 20 years, one thing I learned, you think it'd be, oh, here's how you get a job. No. The people who communicated their worth and value, whether they had the skill set or not, were more likely to get hired or to progress in interviews or to get more opportunities. And when the opportunity landed, they were able to represent themselves and their point well. They weren't always the smartest in the room. Most of the time, they weren't the smartest in the room. And I worked in investment banking, so it was like a factory. You only had a few schools to choose from. Everyone looked the same pedigree, all the things, and it was just factory. I said, what do they have that everyone else doesn't? They had training, opportunity, and a culture to assimilate to. So I've learned that we have to put name and value to what the issues are so that we can put name and value to what the solutions are going to be. And I'm a fan of repeatable solutions. Somebody say repeatable solutions. Yes, okay. So the one pain point method is what I am sharing with you. Feel free to take pictures. We're going to talk about how to describe the cost of strategy move forward in language for meetings. I'm going to try my best to get through this, all of it. But if at some point I look at the time and we're running short, because I'm going to have y'all do an exercise. I'm going to skip to that. Make sure you scan that QR code at the end for the free download, because then I can send you the presentation too. So what is the one pain point method? It's identifying a single issue creating the most drag right now and choosing a realistic path to move forward. Just one. Now I know y'all got 11 things going on right now, and everything's probably on fire. But this method, if used and adhered to, is repeatable for every single fire. And again, it may help you to determine if the climate you're in is sustainable and survivable for you or not. If it's not, you know who to reach out to, okay? We're hiring. So step one, name it. I just said I love to do name and value to things. So I'm gonna ask y'all the question, and I would like some shout outs, if it's safe for you to speak, to where you are. If you could shift one thing in the next 30 days that would make work feel lighter, what would it be? As someone who has to use influence in place of authority, what would it be? Anyone could shout it out. Say that again? Autonomy. Anyone else agree with that? Okay. Anybody else? Two more. Oh, I'm gonna say that for the streaming folks and the people in the back. She said to shift job duties back to the place where it belongs, because it's not supposed to be on my plate, is what she said, and then I added some more in. One more. Herding the flock, getting people to follow directions. So let's define it. One thing I absolutely am obsessed with is defining all those things. So the pain point types that I want to introduce to you that's connected to really helping you to define where these pain points are here. So we have the clarity pain, mixed messages, unclear directions, decisions that never land, always flying in the air. Process pain. So these are bottlenecks, rework, and steps that slow everything down. People pain. So manager inconsistency, performance gaps, and support deficits. Priority pain. Everything's on fire. Everything's urgent. Everyone's knocking at my door. Everyone's emailing me, texting me after hours. It's all on fire. Everything's on fire. Yeah? And then permission pain. Solutions are ready, but approvals stall and decisions are blocked. So these are your 5 pain point types. Now, for those of you, thank you for your boldness to share. I want you all individually to just quickly write down or type, I don't care, but keep in your mind, it doesn't matter, what your pain point type was when I asked, what did you want to solve in the next 30 days, and where you would categorize it. Now I know there may be some overflow, but right now we need to hone in on the one. Okay? Let's move on. Step 2, we gonna price it. So we never need perfect numbers, but we need a story. So leaders respond to cost. Give them a reason to act by making the invisible visible. Now, is anyone here in staffing and recruiting? Yeah? Hey cousins. Okay, so we have in our industry the cost of vacancy. Has anyone heard of that before? So let me just explain it real quick. For every day, every week, every month, there's a vacant position, there's a cost. And usually it's a loss. And there's actually a formula, you can look it up. There is a formula for determining how much employers are losing by not having said position filled. There are a lot of reasons why positions remain unfilled, right? There's tons of reasons, but whatever the reasons are, there's a cost to that. So being able to say to someone, you're losing $10,000 a week or $40,000 a month by not having this filled, or hundreds of thousands, depending on what the role or the vacancy is, can help connect the leader, the decision maker, to some momentum. And that's really what we want. So how do we price it? Your girl's going to define some ways to price it, okay? So you can price in 3 ways. You've got your time cost. How much time is this wasting? How much time can be saved if it is clearly communicated in a way, even a one sheet, a simple way, for the leader and decision maker to see, oh my gosh, we're wasting time. The trust cost. Now this one really hits home for me, where confidence is slipping in leadership, and then that often slips into HR, right? The process itself. So is there a trust cost? Are people 1 foot in, 1 foot out? Are they on LinkedIn secretly saying open to work? Are they on Indeed? Are they perusing on their lunch hour job descriptions, right? And then the third one is the talent cost. So what is the impact on engagement, retention, and performance? What is the cost of losing good people? That R word is something else. Would y'all say that retention is one of the top things in your discussions at work? Yeah? So for us, one of the things we did with FIA, staffing agency, we started in New York and moved to Pennsylvania in 2013. We're in the Lehigh Valley. Any Lehigh Valley? I didn't think so, but I had to ask. So why am I honing in on this? Because retention is everything. And what we realized, we couldn't just be a staffing agency anymore because we kept placing people. And as our CEO, Bill Brown, says, there's no ecosystem there for them to survive or feel welcome or belong. So they're gonna go. And after a pattern of seeing great talent get hired, we're excited, we're out after we fill the role. We realized we can't be out anymore. We gotta come up with a solution because y'all's retention processes suck. They're garbage. And this isn't gonna be good for you. It's not gonna be a good look for us. We don't want that for the job seeker, and then the community is gonna be impacted. So we created literally an entire division to fill that gap. Literally, we had to become the solution because the employers just weren't getting it. They weren't getting it. Sound familiar? Yeah, okay. So there is a talent cost and there are solutions in there. So let's keep it moving. Step 3. So we're naming it, we're pricing it, now we're moving it. So when you're not the boss, you usually need one of 3 moves. I've defined these moves, okay? So get your cameras ready if you want to take a picture. Each move is designed to work within the constraints of influence without authority. 3 moves that work. Align. So tie it to a priority leaders already care about, which y'all already know what those are. Reduce. And this is what I love and has worked for me a lot. Make the solution smaller, safer, and easier to prove. You almost want to make it like it's their thought. You almost want to work it like it's their thought and have them sign off on just a little bit. But that little bit, every 30 days, in 6 months, you'll actually have to find momentum, right? Sometimes we just want to do too much. And then prove, running a low-risk pilot that creates evidence. Now, I promise you, I'm not adding more work on for y'all, okay? This is a structure to get to solutions, to get to momentum without having that leadership title, okay? So let's define that a little bit more. So when you think about aligning, tying your solution to our priority leaders already care about, speaking the language, connecting HR outcomes to business outcomes, all that's good. But you all know the personalities of the people who are the decision makers. So just another quick poll. Does everyone here have a direct relationship with the decision makers that can drive momentum for your roles and responsibilities, or yes? Okay, so for the few hands that raise, that's great. So is that safe to say that everyone else has maybe 1 or 2 people in between the decision makers? Yeah? Okay. It's good to know where you are so you can really use this plan to tailor how to get to where you need to get to. So your alignment may need to be tied to every person you got to get that decision made. And that could be speaking the language of maybe a couple of different folks, but I promise you there's a way to do that. Reduce. So making the solution smaller, lower that risk. So a smaller risk or a smaller ask is easy to say yes to. So for example, instead of saying, oh my gosh, we need to get this report done. Hey, I just wanted to follow up because the risk of not getting this done is we could lose time or money. When do you think we could talk or align on this? It could be as simple as changing your approach or your messaging, or it could be, oh my gosh, I'm so excited about that idea you mentioned. Here's a report to support that. Can I get you to sign off on this today? Or the answer I need from you today, just the one answer I need from you today is this. So we're making our ask smaller so that we can get the yeses, and I promise you those yeses build to your success now. So for example, somebody said, get all these people's responsibilities off my plate. Now, I don't know how many people that may be, but if you start with one and build up, it could be an easier way to completely offload things that never should have been on your plate in the first place. And then prove. So a low-risk pilot allows us to have results, do the persuading. And let me just define. Has anyone ever tried a pilot before? Anyone ever? Yeah? Have they been successful? Yeah? Okay, thank you. Phew. I wasn't sure if this was gonna fly. So when you think about a pilot, one, AI is a great tool. There are a lot of tools you can use to gather data, and you can comp out what your competitors are doing, right? You can find out different ways to present to decision makers how it's going to help them make, save, or achieve. So make money, save money, or achieve something. Anyone ever heard of the MSA rule? No? I can't take credit. The staffing agency I worked for in New York trained us very well. And so most employers and decision makers look for 3 things. How does it help me make money? How does it help me save money? Or how does it help me achieve or accomplish or get an award? So when you tie any pilot or really any of these processes, but when you're looking at the proof, if you tie it to one of those three things, it's going to be a very easy way to present your data and get a response. Okay, we're going to go through this really fast because I want to get to the exercise. Okay, so solutions for every pain point type. We talked about what clarity pain looks like. Let's talk about when clarity can happen. So aligning the outcome. We talked about this already. Reducing the ask to one decision, and then proving with a one-page summary. So this is really supporting the how of what we just talked about. Process pain. We talked about what that looks like, but I want to go over this really quick. So bottlenecks, rework, delays, too many steps, and then people avoid the process. Can anyone relate to this pain in terms of the processes y'all got or not got? Or got, but they should be gotten away? Yeah? Okay. So how do we help with that process pain? So if this is your pain point that you've decided is the most important thing, how do you reduce steps without losing compliance? That's literally your job, and you're equipped and empowered with your skill set to be able to identify that. How can you prove with a pilot or a one sheet in one unit, and then how can you align to service delivery and workload? How can you do these things? So one, identifying which steps add value and which ones suck. They may all suck, and that's okay. You may say, we need a new CRM or we need a new system because this ain't it, okay? Testing an improved process in a single team or department before rolling it out broadly, if you even have authority to do so, or within your HR team. And then framing a process improvement as a way to protect capacity and improve service quality. That, if you have capacity for it, go for it. If not, start with the first two. Don't worry, I'm gonna ask if y'all have questions, so please save them, okay? People pain. We change all the time. Our moods, what's going on in the house, we're coming with all this and we gotta manage it. So manager inconsistency, performance issues that are really support gaps, and then one role draining the system. How many times is there one role that's either overbloated or someone got hired who doesn't necessarily have the skill set, they're draining all the money, or they're a decision maker and aren't a great leader? Last one, and then we're gonna get to the exercise. Moves that help with people pain. Align to retention and productivity risk. So connecting people pain to the cost of losing talent. Please go ahead and look up that cost of vacancy. You all may have your own frameworks as well, but this one I highly recommend, because if you don't know this and you look it up, you'll be empowered. There's calculators online too. You'll be empowered to say to the hiring managers, all right, y'all, I know you're busy, but this vacant job is costing you and us a lot of money. Not just time, but money. Reducing to two options so leaders can choose. So instead of an open-ended problem, I'm open to your thoughts. What do you think? Here's the issue. We're bleeding money or time or trust. Here are two ways we can get out of this. I need a decision from you today. Whether they respond or not, and this is where I'm saying, depending on your culture, you have clearly now defined and communicated a path and an exit and a way out that hopefully will get some momentum going without leaving it to open-ended questions and let's circle back and run it up the flagpole. You're asking for a response, okay? And then again, the pilot. If you want to do a pilot, pilot away. Once you sign up for my free download, you're also welcome to ask me about some pilot examples. I love a good pilot. Priority pain. So, is anyone right now, is everything on fire in your workplace? Is everything on fire? Don't even raise your hand, it's fine. I see it. Everything is on, it's fine. So, okay, so if everything is on fire, it's hard to triage. We can never be proactive, right? It's very reactive, and our central nervous system is like, literally, right? So direction shifts weekly and we become reactive. So what do? It's hard. But what we always say is try and pick one thing. If everything is on fire, can you let some things burn a little bit more? Is it to the ground? You still got bricks? Is it underground? Is it in the attic? What do you, assess your fires, okay? Assess your situations and pick one thing. One for your sanity, because this is human resources, right? I don't think it'll ever become AI resources, even though we're using AI, it's human resources. You all should be the #1 priority. So pick something. It doesn't even have to be the fieriest fire that impacts the business. It could be the fieriest fire that's impacting you, and you are important. Try and pick one. Even if it has a 1% lead over the others, try and pick one. If you can't pick one, pick two, but that's it. No more. Reduce it into a 30-day sprint. This is what has worked for me. I'm telling you right now, as having been in a situation where I'm never the final decision maker. Reducing it to a 30-day sprint. So once you identify that fire, what can you accomplish in the next 30 days? Remember we asked that earlier? What's that pain point? What can you accomplish? And what are the 1 or 2 things you could present to the decision makers to get some momentum? I don't care if this is them reading an email and saying this is good or signing a it doesn't matter. What's the one thing? And also, once you get this process put into place, you'll be able to be more consistent with it, have a little more balance, and I promise you, you will see forward movement. And then the proving that with measurable outcomes. Anything we do, we track anyway, right? We're HR, of course. We have to track it. Nothing new to you, but being able to track this 30-day sprint with these 1 to 2 priorities, you'll have data you can go back and say, hey, this worked. Want to try it again? With that actual fire now we need to do, you want to try it again? The solution is ready, but approval stalls. Decisions are blocked. Decision maker not in the room or the building, or hasn't shown up in a while, or you don't know where they are. Could be in Tahiti. We don't know because we haven't seen them. What's their name again? Yeah. Okay, so we know that. So what moves help with permission pain? Reducing risk and lift, proving, again, a low lift pilot. I know you're like, all right, Lindsay, enough with the pilots. Designing a pilot that requires minimal resources, so something you have control over that you can introduce, and then aligning to what leadership is accountable for. So if leadership has a deadline, or if leadership publicly is responsible for X, you just attach to it and write it, just write it. It doesn't even necessarily have to align with what you want to accomplish. Tailor it so that it makes sense to them, so you can get that sign off. Does that make sense? Okay, so if you can name it, you can move it, and now we're gonna name it. So get your pens and papers out, or your phones. I want us to do the pain point exercise. So what I want, and I'm gonna go back to the slide with the pain points so you can remember. So here's what I want you to think about. My one pain point is, it costs us or me, and the move I need. So the one pain point, we'll go back to the 5 so you can be reminded. But I want you to be specific. What is that one thing? And what is it costing? Time, trust, or talent? And then the move I need is align, reduce, or prove. I know it may be all the things, but right now I'm asking y'all to pick the greatest of the one. Okay? All right. So your one pain point. My mission is for this to be actionable and digestible, and for day 1 to be tomorrow. Day 1 to be tomorrow for you, and within the next 30 days, momentum and/or you're able to really clearly see what you got to work with in the culture and environment you work in. I really want to leave it open for questions, thoughts, challenges. This is your opportunity in this safe space to have some say.
I would like to know if your suggestion when we're talking about priority pain, to go with the easiest to correct or the most palatable decisions that we could be making in order to build trust in that very first couple of times we're doing something?
Yeah, that's a great question. So yes and yes, right? But I will say this, the way that's worked for me, I find the easiest win. 1, for my ego. Let's be real. But 2, if it's easy for the decision maker and you get them used to easy decisions, it'll be easier for them to trust you and say yes to the harder ones down the line. That's my approach. It's worked. So that's the approach. If I had to pick one, that's what I'd recommend. I do want to go to talking about messaging. So influence definitely begins before the meeting. If you were to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5, how strong do you think you are with messaging? How many 5s do I have out there? How many 4s do I have out there? How many 3s? How many 2s? How many 1s? 3s were the hardiest, which is fine. Clarity before conversation gives you the confidence to come in with your ask instead of, oh my gosh, I hope that you say yes. No, y'all gonna say yes to this. That's what practicing that message gives you, okay? So we've got facts, outcome, concise language, and impact. I'm skipping past this because I want to get to some examples. We have high turnover and need funding. Okay, everyone does. Turnover is 18% higher than comparable units or comparable industry competitors. Replacement costs are approximately 30% of salary. A target retention pilot could reduce risk within 1 fiscal cycle. Remember I talked about what you've made, saved, or achieved, or accomplished? Here you go. Here it is in your messaging. And it's not that you have to be a perfect presenter, it's that you gotta have the data written out and practice it yourselves. So when it's time for that opportunity, you're winning. Let's do another one. A translation swap. The department failed to follow policy. Okay, yeah. This process appears inconsistent with current policy. Reviewing it together may reduce risk and improve consistency, may make you look better, said decision maker. And you want to look better, right? So this is how you can translate but protect the relationship. One more example. We need approval. How about the decision we need today is? If someone came to you and said, oh my gosh, we need approval, everything's on fire. Ah! Or if they just came to you and said, you know what? Sorry to bother you, I just need this one quick decision from you today. Do you have 20 million? No, but it could be whatever your ask is, right? That micro ask leading to whatever that decision is, reframe it so that it's so clear that you really are connected to whatever it is the decision makers, where they are and what they need. When it comes to messaging, the more work we do behind the scenes, the easier it'll be for us to confidently communicate. We can never control what the decision makers are going to say or how they're going to respond, but this process allows us to have an approach and to get those micro decisions made and continue to build so that we can get to the goals we need to accomplish as leaders without the title. I think that was the title of today's topic, right? How to lead without the title. So this in itself, once you find your pain point method, you go through the process and you keep repeating over and over, can work within workforce. That being said, thank you.